It's like this whole mystery wrapped up in an enigma. And then you bury it under 200 years of people digging, and we still can't look away.
And you've given me quite the stack of research on it, too, I can tell.
Someone's eager, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're getting into Oak Island, and not just the History Channel version. We want to know if any of this is even plausible.
Right, because there's a lot to unpack.
That's an understatement. But you know the basics, right? Tiny island, whispers of treasure, that whole curse thing.
Oh, trust me, I'm very familiar with the curse.
Well, good. So today's our deep dive. But to really get into it, we got to rewind a bit. Back to 1795.
Before the Leginas, even.
Way before. Forget the fancy equipment. We're talking 3 teenagers who stumbled onto something.
Yeah.
Well, what did they actually find? Because it wasn't the money pit as we picture it, right?
No, not at first. It was this circular depression in the ground, almost too perfect, you know? Like, nature can do that, but the way they described it, it was deliberate.
Okay, so amateur sleuthing time.
Yep.
Layers of logs, right?
Yeah.
Every 10 feet they found those. Not exactly pirate booty,
A bit odd, for sure, yeah.
but then the charcoal shows up. And I got to be honest, this is where things get weird for me. Coconut fibers. That far north in Nova Scotia. Landscaping, that ain't.
That detail right there, it tells us one of two things. Either someone hid this treasure expecting to be long gone, so they used whatever was on hand.
Making it more suspicious, not less.
Or it's a red herring, planted to make this whole thing seem older, more exotic.
Deception from day one, okay? I'm starting to see your obsession here. But it's not just what they found, it's what happened next, right?
Oh, the flooding, yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
And not just a little steep. We're talking engineered tunnels, pushing water in, like it was designed to do that.
Which, in the late 1700s, that level of engineering, someone wasn't just hiding something, they were sending a message.
A message that's claimed lives, too. Which, of course, brings us to the Oak Island curse. Legend says 7 people have to die before the secret's revealed.
I've heard that too, yeah.
No, I'm not superstitious, but first recorded death, 1861. Another in 97. Both tied to this place. By 1965, 4 more. Coincidence? Maybe. But you gotta admit, it adds to the mystique.
It's a tragic pattern, almost like a cautionary tale, right? Oak Island isn't just about historical mysteries. It reminds us how obsessed people get with them.
And that obsession, it's fueled by what might be down there. We're talking pirate treasure, lost Templar gold, even Shakespeare manuscripts. It's like the island itself is whispering anything is possible.
Right.
But comment, some of these theories are wilder than a pirate after a weekend bender.
Well, sure. Each theory reflects the time it came from. Pirates were a real threat back then, so of course they're the prime suspects.
So the theories themselves are almost like historical artifacts. That's interesting.
Right. It's less about what's buried, more about what people wanted to believe.
We crave that. Buried treasure, hidden knowledge. Oak Island offers that, whether it's real or not.
And that brings up a key point. Up to now, it's mostly been just that speculation, right? Romantic tales, but no hard proof.
Right. And that's where the Lagina brothers come in. They weren't content with stories. They wanted answers, and they brought the big guns, technologically speaking.
Oh, yeah, you could say they changed the game. And you sent me all about it. Those early discoveries, the stuff those old-timers could only have dreamed of.
It's like before it was digging with a spoon, and suddenly they show up with, like, a bulldozer and night vision goggles. What was the biggest change they made, do you think?
2 things, really. One, they were serious about analyzing everything. Not just digging, but understanding the science of it.
Instead of just hoping to bump into a treasure chest.
Exactly. Every soil sample, every rusty nail, they wanted to know the history behind it.
Which is where our buddy Gary Drayton comes in, right? With the Bobby Dazzlers. The man could find a lost earring in a sandstorm, I swear.
Got the eye, that's for sure.
But it's those early finds that really got people talking. The lead cross, the old coins. Suddenly, those Templar whispers weren't so crazy.
And that's where it gets interesting academically, you see. That cross dated back to the 14th century. Was it just a sailor passing through, planted there later? Or could it be a genuine link to the Templars, who were active then?
See, that's what I love about this stuff, tangible pieces of the past.
Yeah.
But there's one Legina find that tops them all, even for a skeptic like me.
Yeah.
That stone inscription.
Ah, not the old one, you mean the one they found?
Exactly. The one that seems to tie everything to. Well, we got to be careful here.
The Freemasons, yes. And it's easy to go down the rabbit hole, conspiracy theories, all that. But the symbols on that stone.
From what I read, they match up with known Masonic imagery, right?
Oh.
I mean, if this inscription is the real deal, this isn't just some pirate stash anymore.
No, it points to something far bigger. This inscription mentions and I quote, treasure trove of wisdom, A hidden chamber meant for these guardians of wisdom.
Okay, so maybe it's metaphorical, right? Knowledge is the treasure, but still that changes everything.
Completely. Suddenly, the Leginas aren't just digging for gold, they're looking for a lost chapter of history. Maybe even something with dot power, you know?
And that's the difference, right? They didn't just dismiss these finds. They brought in experts on the Freemasons, on old languages, trying to decipher it all.
Which, to me, is the heart of the Oak Island mystery. Is it the treasure that keeps us hooked, or the puzzle itself? That desire to unlock something seemingly designed to stay hidden.
Okay, now you're getting philosophical on me.
Hmm.
But it's true, the more we learn, the less clear it all becomes. And that's both frustrating and fascinating, right?
And if this inscription does lead to a hidden chamber, what does that say about the lengths people go to protect knowledge, to keep secrets buried? Literally.
You're just messing with me now. But that's Oak Island for you, right? Every answer leads to more questions, and nobody's better at digging those up, so to speak, than the Leginas. But, okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. After all that, the digging, the tech, the experts, did they find anything? Or is Oak Island just a money pit, literally?
That's the thing, isn't it? We want that big reveal, the treasure chest overflowing with doubloons, the lost city of Atlantis.
Don't tempt me with a lost city. We'll be here all week.
But the more you learn about Oak Island, you realize the treasure might be the journey, you know?
Okay, I hear that, but our listeners sent in a mountain of research. They're along for the ride. Surely all that Legina effort produced something concrete.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe not Blackbeard's treasure, but they changed how we see the island. Proved it wasn't just some backwater.
You're talking about those artifacts, right?
Right.
Ones that suggest a much longer history than anyone expected.
Exactly. We got so caught up in pirates and Templars we forgot. People have been sailing the Atlantic a long time.
But there were those pottery pieces, hinting at maybe even Romans being there. I mean, that's wild.
Roman, European coins, even wood dated back to the 1500s. Oak Island was like a stopping point for ages. Stuff just piled up.
Okay, so not one big secret, but layers of them, which still doesn't explain that elaborate money pit, the booby traps, the flooding.
And that's the question, right? What if they weren't protecting gold, but something more valuable? A refuge, a place for forbidden knowledge, a sacred site even.
Now you're just getting my imagination going.
Our imaginations are the best tools we've got for Oak Island, honestly, because we can't prove or disprove anything definitively.
You know, I started out ready to debunk this whole thing.
Right.
But the more we talk, the more I think not having a clear answer is more exciting.
Exactly. History isn't a straight line. It's messy. It's got gaps. And Oak Island makes us confront that.
So what's the takeaway for our listener then? They've got all this info. Now what?
Maybe the real find is that some things stay buried, literally or figuratively. It's about our curiosity, our desire to keep digging, even when the answer's always just out of reach.
Man, this deep dive has been a trip. And for anyone listening, if you're as hooked as we are, maybe that's the adventure, figuring out what you believe is down there.